Our top story here at 6 surrounds the Minneapolis Police Department and a new federal consent decree with the Department of Justice.
This follows a separate decree in 2023 that mandated the department to make transformative changes surrounding racial discrimination. Rob Olson joining us now to break down what this decree means for the department and also the community moving forward. Rob?
Yeah, there's a lot in this decree made public late this afternoon, 166 pages in all, as you can imagine, a lot of it dealing with use of force, directing that arrests be made with the least intrusive force possible. It also covers training, supervision, how to disperse crowds during protests, how to deal with the media, how to deal with mental health calls. So much of it in the making for so many months, and it took most of the day today for the City Council to give their stamp of approval.
Your lawyers wish to provide the council a briefing on this litigation matter, including on resolution possibilities.
The council publicly convened just after 8:30 a.m. and then quickly voted to make their meeting private.
The council will recess into closed session,
spending hours going over the federal consent decree that would mandate changes to the Minneapolis Police Department.
But the patterns and practices we observed made what happened to George Floyd possible.
It was this news conference 18 months ago when the Department of Justice unveiled their 88-page investigation, finding MPD had a pattern of excessive force, discrimination, and free speech violations. That led to extensive negotiations between the city and the DOJ to agree on the solutions in the decree, with community groups taking public input to guide them.
This has been a mammoth effort by the community to make sure we get a real consent decree.
It was these community groups that pushed the feds to investigate MPD in the wake of George Floyd. Critical now that it took so long to draft this decree, but hopeful the final agreement will work.
We have seen dissent decrees change communities and policing in other cities, but we in Minneapolis are hopeful that we will do it even better.
I move to approve the settlement of all claims.
It was mid-afternoon by the time the council resumed the public meeting and then voted 12-0 to adopt the decree, one the public has yet to even see.
We have traveled a very, very long and challenging journey. We're just beginning, and we know we have a long way to go.
Now, there was some time crunch felt by folks here on this. President-elect Donald Trump, who takes office in a couple of weeks, has been very critical of these types of consent decrees, so certainly feeling the pressure to try to get this approved, get it done, and get it filed, which it was done today. Live in Minneapolis, Rob Olson, Fox 9.
All right, Rob, thank you. That all-day meeting for City Council let out just a few hours ago.
And within the last hour and a half, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, Police Chief Brian O'Hara, and other officials shared more on what happens next. Fox 9's Maury Glover was there, and so Maury, city leaders painting a hopeful picture at that press conference today.
That's right. City officials believe this federal consent decree will deliver a more just Minneapolis Police Department for generations to come.
This legally binding agreement will give the city additional tools and the clarity as we continue doing the hard work about building trust and accountability in our communities.
Now, the decree lays out how the MPD will reform its training, discipline, and policies to address systemic problems laid out by the DOJ. Officers would no longer be allowed to start a foot chase simply because someone sees an officer. Officers would also be prohibited from working off-duty if they are on administrative leave or handcuff a child under 14 years old.
Today marks an important and pivotal moment in the history of the Minneapolis Police Department and for the people that we serve. We are here to reaffirm our commitment to accountability, transparency, and a future where reducing crime and earning community trust go hand in hand.
We believe that these reforms can be instituted swiftly. The Justice Department will move to terminate provisions of the decree as full and effective compliance is achieved. We are confident that Minneapolis will comply with the consent decree's requirements, as the city has already been taking a number of important steps along the path to reform.
Now, Minneapolis will be the first city in the country to be under both a federal and state consent decree at the same time. Of course, we'll have much more on this coming up on our news tonight at 9 and 10 o'clock. In Minneapolis, Maury Glover, Fox 9.
All right, thank you, Maury. The power struggle